For 10 days, Natalie was trafficked across state lines, abducted, drugged, forced into situations no child should ever have to endure. Now, we're here with Lisa, who tracks this kind of thing, deals with this kind of thing. And by the way, Lisa's not some cowboy that's just out recklessly doing this because she wants to be some do-gooder. She works with law enforcement. She's not a vigilante. She gathers information. She lets law enforcement know what she's doing before she does it. She gives the information over to law enforcement afterwards. She's not, trying to ride in on some white horse and do something dramatic. She's responsibly gathering information with sponsorship from law enforcement, turning it over to law enforcement, and sharing very important critical information. And thank you for doing what you do. What you're hearing here is really a prototype. I mean, this is exactly what happens.
It is. And first of all, I'd like to say I am so sorry for what happened to you, but you are a hero and you are courageous. And thank you so much for speaking out so that you can give a heads up to other potential victims that don't see the warning signs. They don't know that there's the possibility this can happen. And unfortunately, this does happen more than people know.
Oh, and that's the problem. You went to multiple locations, multiple states, and they just kept you in a haze.
Yeah.
All right. And there was a third guy at the apartment. You're held at a makeshift apartment for a couple of days. You're sedated, raped by a man and his friend. And at one point, you were dropped off on a strip of a road and told to make money with a plan to be picked up later. What is going through your head at this point? Did they ever allow you to be lucid enough to start to think clearly at all?
No, I remember when I was left alone on that street, I was very confused. I didn't know the reason why I was on that street, and I didn't know where I was in order to get to a gas station or get to like a main road. I was very out of it and confused.
Do you know now where you were?
No, not at all.
You still don't know where they dropped you? Okay. At some point, you were picked up and driven to Oklahoma?
Yes.
To some motel somewhere? Do you know who it was?
I don't know who it was. I can just only remember how I got there, and it was very brief.
All right. And when you got there, there was already somebody there?
Yes.
They gave you some food?
No, not any food. Just drinks from the gas station.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are they treating you? How are they talking to you when they're not exploiting you, abusing you? How do they interact with you?
Really normal, honestly, just like how me and you are talking right now. Asking me questions about the things I like to do. It looked like a very normal conversation.
Yeah. Now, was it Oklahoma where you encountered someone that had a partner there that was a woman?
Yes.
Is this the muffins person? What was her role in all of this?
She was the one that took the pictures of me that were posted to my sex ad.
Okay. And how did she treat you? How did she interact with you?
She tried to treat me like a daughter, tried giving me clothes, tried giving me drinks, tried giving me a shower, but very intrusive in all of that, not giving me any privacy with any of it.
Okay. And you say that these pictures that they were taking, you got a private investigator involved, right?
Yes.
And this person went on the dark web?
I'm not even 100% sure of his methods, but we were referred to him by a friend of a friend, and I sent him, and just in desperation of not having any leads and any assistance with, police or anything, sent him some pictures, and he just said, "I'll call you back if there's a match." I didn't really know what was going to be matched, but later found out it was facial recognition type stuff.
Okay, and he came back with a report that said she is on some sites and she is up for sale.
Yes, he told me, I think I've got a match, and it was only, I think, 86% of a match. So, he said, that's still pretty good, but, he said, I'm going to show you how to get to these pictures. And he did. And even when I saw the photos of her, I don't know if my brain wouldn't process it, but I had to get verification from my husband and my mom that it indeed really was her.
And the ad was for her up for sale.
Yes.
To buy her.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Natalie obviously got out of there, got rescued. We're going to talk about how all of that unfolded next. You next encountered a man who was a meth user who abused you over a 4-day period.
It's the 4th day, and I just woke up and he looked like he was about to pass away. So I go outside. I'm still very confused, still very unaware of what's happening to me. And so I was just walking down the street continuously, just praying for someone to come, whether it was a cop, ambulance, fire truck, anything.
A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep, and Z-Kleiner was designed specifically to promote restful sleep. Studies show 7% of U.S. adults either choose not to or are unable to sleep in a traditional bed. Z-Kleiner offers a superior alternative. The Z-Kleiner is a revolutionary recliner designed by Flex Steel to be both your ultimate relaxation station and making it an ideal bed alternative. The Z-Kleiner is the perfect sleep solution, meticulously engineered with 4 distinct models. Model 1, Model 2, Petite, Model 2, and Model 2 Plus. No matter your size or specific need, there is a Z-Kleiner that's right for you. Z-Kleiner is more than a chair. It's a complete sleep solution. Whether for daily relaxation or as an alternative to a bed, it delivers unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Visit zkleiner.com today to find the perfect model for you. You deserve the Z-Kleiner. We're talking to sex trafficking survivor Natalie. You had no idea what they were doing with these pictures. You had no idea you were up for sale. How often does this happen, Lisa, in terms of how often do they keep control and just exploit them? You said in some of these sex trafficking places, it's like $120 for 15 minutes, and then other times they sell them. What's the difference? How do they decide, keep them, work them, sell them?
I think it's going to depend, sex trafficking ring to sex trafficking ring. You can have traffickers flip girls from one location to the other. They might get an inkling that people are looking for them. It might be missing girl or boy pages online, and they might transfer them out of state. So we see trafficking rings working Oklahoma, Louisiana with Texas that are part of the same ring, and they'll flip them in and out, but they keep them in the rings as long as they can. I mean, we've seen rings that are working out of motel sites for up to 4 months, which is, unusual, but we've seen it. And it's the same girls rotating in and out, and then they'll move them. And
when they sell them, how much do they sell them for?
I think that's going to vary in range. When you're getting $120 for 15 minutes, or in some rings, it's $160 for 30 minutes, there's no telling what the price tag can be for some of these victims.
Yeah, because that's approaching $1,000 an hour, $800 to $1,000 an hour. And so that's a lot of money per day. So if they sell them, it's got to be for a lot of money.
It is for a lot of money.
You next encountered a man who was a meth user who abused you over a 4-day period, right? There was a raid on a motel. You weren't there. They didn't find you then. But you did get outside, and tell me about that. How did all of that happen, and how did you eventually get in the hands of someone that helped you?
So I have been there for 4 days, and it's the 4th day, and I just woke up, and he was I could tell he was really slumped, and he looked like he was about to pass away. So I go over to him, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get you help. And I go outside. I'm still very confused, still very unaware of like what's happening to me. And I go up to this couple and I'm like, I need your help. Like there's this guy dying. I think is dying. He's been using. I need your help. And they said they couldn't help me. And so I was just walking down the street continuously, just praying for someone to come, whether it was a cop, ambulance, fire truck, like anything. And whether to help me or help this guy, like it didn't matter. And I was just praying and praying over again. And 5 minutes later, like a cop drove by. He passed me and then drove by and asked me if I was Natalie. And I said yes immediately.
Really?
Yeah.
And how were you dressed at this point?
I think I was in shorts and a t-shirt with no shoes, carrying my shoes.
And this was in Oklahoma?
Yes.
And was this a highway?
It was a neighborhood, but it was like houses, like apartments connected with each other, if that makes sense.
Okay. Uh-huh. And he asked you if you were Natalie.
Yeah.
So obviously they had a bulletin out
Yeah.
on her. And did you already have an idea she was in Oklahoma?
Yes, we knew from the ad that she was in Oklahoma. When the raid happened and that was unsuccessful in getting her, I panicked because, I said, now they're on to us and now they know that we're looking for her. And I didn't know what that time frame would look like. And it was, another 3 or 4 days before they just randomly came across her, and they were so overjoyed to have found her.
What would you say to young girls that are walking around the mall or a busy place? What would you say?
I would say keep your guard up. Watch where you're going. Watch who is surrounding you, and make sure you're with safe people that are going to keep you safe and themselves safe. And just have your phone on you if you have a phone, or be around people who have a phone that you can contact someone when you need help.
Do you go out in the public now? Are you paranoid about it? Are you?
Sometimes when I get an anxious feeling, I do, but usually I feel comfortable walking around. I haven't gone to the basketball place yet again, so.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
All right, y'all stay with us. Coming up, a young man trafficked from Honduras at just 14 years of age. We're going to add him to the conversation when we come back. You were 14 in Honduras. How did you get into the hands of these people that trafficked you into San Diego?
Just like what we heard from Natalie, they target me.
I'm really curious, as you hear what's happened to him, how do you react to hearing his story?
I think he's very strong. It was hell for me for 10 days straight. I can't imagine 6 months.
Getting quality sleep can be a struggle. Beyond feeling tired, poor sleep affects focus at work, patience with loved ones, and leaves you constantly drained. Finding a solution is key. That's where Beam's Dream Powder comes in. This healthy hot cocoa has completely transformed sleep for many. With flavors like cinnamon cocoa, sea salt caramel, and brownie batter, each serving is only 15 calories and 0 grams of sugar. Guilt-free and effective. Dream's all-natural ingredients help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed. It's easy to add to a nighttime routine. Just mix it with hot water or milk before bed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil for up to 40% off.
After 34 years of doing this job and doing numerous sex trafficking and forced labor investigation, some of these children are in forced labor, some are going to be in pornographic movies, some are in the sex trade, some are going to be dead, some we'll never find. That's just a fact. We're going to find as many as we can and rescue them. They need to be rescued. These children are waking up every day to a life of hell, and they need to be saved. Immigration consequences aside, it's not about immigration, it's about finding these children and saving them.
That was part of my recent conversation with Border Czar Tom Homan discussing the trauma of human trafficking. My next guest knows that all too well. At 14, Sue Amirs was abducted from Honduras, smuggled into San Diego, and sold into sex trafficking. It's hard to even imagine that that can happen. Sue Amirs, thank you so much for talking to us today. You were 14 in Honduras. How did you get into the hands of these people that trafficked you into San Diego?
Thank you, Dr. Phil, for having me. It's really great to see you again. And thank you for your many decades advocating for kids in foster care, especially for CASAs, Court Appointed Special Advocates. So I'm really thankful, somebody who had a CASA when I was in foster care. Being from Honduras, I grew up in a community that unfortunately didn't have the many resources. My father and my mother had a very complicated relationship, marriage perhaps, and it was very violent. My father was very violent, and then to this point, I can tell you a story about all of the 57 scars that my father did to me. And I'm talking about this because it's important to know that this trauma, these years of abuse and condition to abuse and trauma is what really put me at a higher level of vulnerability for trafficking. Um, I was working in a pizza restaurant in Honduras, and two men came into the restaurant. They ordered food. They left about 2 hours later, and they gave me one of the biggest tips that I have received in the job. They gave me 100 lempiras. And back in 2004 in Honduras, 100 lempiras, it was really a lot of money. I can feed my family for a whole week with that much money. So I was very excited to go home and really provide for my family. At this point, my father has already left our home, left my mother in a wheelchair because he hit her so bad that broke her back, and left me as the older son in the family to take care of them. And all of these experiences, just like what we heard from Natalie, they have been observing me, acknowledging my vulnerabilities, acknowledging that I didn't have a father figure, that I didn't have a mother figure that was there to protect me. Um, and they target me at 14 years old from a pizza restaurant. And that night on January 3rd, 2004, about around midnight, it was time for me to go home. I started walking to the bus stop, and the two men came out of nowhere. They just started talking to me, and the conversation got a little sexual. They asking me about if I ever had sex, if I ever had done this, and I immediately something felt off. I'm sure Natalie can recognize that in that moment when she felt something off. That was my moment. Something is wrong in here, but I couldn't act fast enough. The next thing I know, I have a wet tissue over my mouth and nose. And I have a knife up to my right side. And until today, I actually have a mark where the knife was actually punctured through my skin as they were trying to keep me from running away. Later on, we found that there was medication to put me to sleep, but also to sedate me and my system. So we know they used a lot of drugs to keep me sedated. But that is how I went missing from Honduras at the age of 14.
And let me tell you, folks, that's just how quickly it happens. He's targeted in a restaurant. They wait till he leaves, and then is grabbed in that way. Coming up, the challenges that he's faced afterwards. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.
We need to deputize every American. I think every parent in this nation has that innate ability to recognize when something's not right with a child. Whether you see a child in the workplace that shouldn't be there, or whether you see a child with an adult that there's something just you key on that something isn't right here. If one report out of 1,000 saves a child, I think it's worth it.
Sue Ramirez was kidnapped from Honduras at 14, brought to the U.S. with no understanding of English, and sold to sex traffickers. Ironically, he was held very close to a police station on the same street, the house where he was being held, locked in a dark room where he would stay for the next 6 months. And yeah, I'm really curious, as you hear what's happened to him, how does that impact you? I mean, it's hard, your own situation, because you were so hazed all the time.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened to you. It's just a little different situation. But how do you react to hearing his story?
It's crazy. I think he's very strong because it was hell for me for 10 days straight. I can't imagine 6 months. And it's crazy what people can do to other people. And it's crazy what people can come out of bad situations.
And Sue Ramirez, you heard the story of just being taken out of American Airlines arena the way that she was. How do you relate to that, having been through it yourself?
I got chills as soon as I heard the way that she was trafficked and the way that she met her trafficker, and how, just in a matter of less than an hour, our lives changed so drastic and so for and really changed us. I mean, we know that, and I realized this a very long time ago, and I'm sure that Natalie has realized it too, is that the trauma that I experienced, the pain, suffering, um, may have broke me, but there were so many more times where I found hope and peace within myself, and that allowed me and to really just form the strength that I needed, but I also to commit to becoming a professional and working with victims of human trafficking every single day. And I have been working for the last 15 years with survivors of human trafficking. And Natalie, I must say, you're so young, and I makes me feel so empowered to just to hear and to be here, because we know the trafficking it's such a traumatic experience that broke us, yet you did not let it break you and keep you down. You let it make you again. And it sounds like that has become the foundation of the woman that you are today, and the good work that you do. So thank you for all that you do and for telling your story, because people like you and I telling our stories is what perhaps will empower others in Texas and California and Florida and all over the country to tell their stories. And particularly as a boy, as a man, I know that there are many men, boys being trafficked every single day for both labor and sex trafficking. Um, Yet there isn't comprehensive data, there isn't comprehensive analysis of the issue of how sex trafficking impact boys. Yet we know that at least 45% of those who experience sex trafficking are boys. And our efforts are not matching what our data is telling us. And that is important to us.
Lisa, you've commented on it, and Sumir's as well. He made the comment that everybody involved looks so normal, but they're there to abduct and rape children. It's just unbelievable.